Hello guys, I'm coming back. Welcome back to my white channel. This is your YouTube content creator, Science, Health, Safety, and Music. Our topic for today is we're gonna shift to health, health and safety in environment. HSE is gonna be OSH, Occupational Safety and Health. Okay, so wait for a while. I need to do the simultaneous live streamings in my FB and in my YT para ang saya-saya special. Okay, there's no such issues during uploading, then okay, it will be good, right? Get the point. Things like that. Oh my gosh. Wait for a while. I have my other phone here in my hand, so I need to go to the settings. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for all the viewers who watch my FB live streaming. Thank you so much. Okay. So before na ito pag-sugdan, we need to discuss a little bit. Not a little bit. It's gonna be comprehensive. Okay? In health and safety and environment or occupational safety and health. Okay, so my gosh, oh. For my viewers, okay, who are OSH professionals and entry-level safety officers as well. Okay. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Oh my god. Okay. So wait for a while. I'll be setting my settings. Wow. Setting my settings. Okay. Or arranging my settings. Oh my gosh. Oh, diba? Welcome back to my vlog. Let's go back to safety. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have the documents in safety, even though I am here in my country of origin. I still love to bring my documents, things like that, because anytime we do know really that there are some upcoming opportunities that come along your way, and you have to be ready at any time T and in an unexpected manner. You have to be. That's what I've told you a while ago. So I reiterated this that you should be laging handa. Okay, to whatever circumstances or whatever opportunities that will come along your way. Okay, so because the only constant in this world is change, as the saying goes, right? So it's gonna be like that. I should be prepared, especially guys, in construction industry, the safety there is highly technical. Okay, meaning highly theoretical. It involves computations, calculations. But if you are trying to work in operations, in the production processes and in the manufacturing, products you don't have to be highly technical. You only be highly technical in the process management safety, in which you don't have to do that every day. It's gonna be like periodic only. Let's say every 3 months, after 6 months, and you don't have to worry about that. Okay, because it would be done by a lot of disciplines, not only the safety department. It could be also consulted with, for example, the QC department, let's say EMP department, okay, electrical maintenance department, instrument maintenance department, the production department also, and the support services department, the HR department, or the human resources department. So it's going to be like that. That is a collaborative engagement prior to work with a process safety management document, right? And then the other one also will be the HAZOPS, meaning Hazards Operability Study. It's just like an equivalent to the risk assessment program, still an accident and accident prevention tool, or a strategy or a document. But these things needs frequency, 3 months, 6 months, not daily a la tool, or not on the daily basis. But what I'm trying to explain to you right now, this will be the weapon. Weapon really is have plural or singular. I cannot remember if this is an uncountable pronoun or not. Hello, Ma'am Duna Karaka, my solid viewer. Is this an unaccountable noun or countable noun? Because there are also, for example, let's say emergencies, Good point, good point, because there are also a lot of terminologies that the singular form will also be the plural form, right? So these are the unaccountable nouns. For example, equipment. The both singular form and plural form of equipment has no letter S. So if you put equipments, that's wrong grammar. Okay, two or three or more equipment are still equipment. Don't put S. It will be a wrong grammar. It's non-existent in the Webster dictionary or any dictionary you refer. Okay, so these are very, very complex that, you get the point that to those who did not love English, you will take it for granted. Me, I'm not good in English. Also, I'm not majoring in English. Right? I'm an engineer, but it just happens that I love English and science. That's why I am having also the familiarity of this vocabularies and then English communication, English language, because I've been in journalism and I'm a very young age in my college days, in my high school days, and I've been competing to that also from Cebu North to Cebu South and even the regional level. So things as I love that. That's why if you have the passion and dedication and commitment to love what you are doing, so most of the times you will excel. Okay, that's why I keep on repeating in the vlog. If you have a daughters in the sense that are very good in English, then support them because you can recognize them at their very, very young age. And especially to those daughters and sons who are very, very talkative, then you should entertain them. A lot of questions in their mind at their very young age, then that would be good, a signal that they can communicate effectively in the future. Because most successful professionals are those who can communicate well, spontaneously, in public, and also in private sectors or whatever. Things like that. And this is very, very useful. You don't have to be brilliant, you don't have to be intelligent, as long as your command in English is okay, adequate, average. So it would be an advantage for you to face different industries, to different career opportunities that will come along your way. It's gonna be like that. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have here my envelope. Pink envelope. I love pink. Oh my god. Somebody also will try to describe it. Pink is for girls, so it's not. Pink also is for masculinity. Okay, like that. So this is really a unisex color, adaptable to everybody. You get the point. No particular ages. You can wear pink even though you are 1 year old and then an adulthood. You can still wear pink, right? Okay, there's no issues for that. Colors have no issues. Just like we have a new president, Dilawan, blue or red, there's no issues. We are for Filipinos, whether we have different political support for other leaders that lost in the past election, then we are working now for one country, one Philippines, and unity for everybody. There's no color. We need to fight and we need to correct government officials that are not doing their assignments well. Okay, there's a lot in the Malacanang Palace. Okay, I know that. Okay, sa mga marites. Okay, you get the point. Okay, and effective marites. Professional marites, because we have also professional marites and non-professional marites. Because the professional marites will really evaluate and analyze the chismes that they will be gathered in for example, in the government, in government institutions, and Malacanang Palace, or whatever public agencies in our country. Things like that, right? But I don't want to vlog politics because there's a lot of, opposing minds, things like that, and it will resort to verbal fighting, verbal war, and it's gonna be, there's argumentation. Because most of the comments are opinionated, not based on facts. Because in the first place, we have a polarized mind. So what do you mean by polarized or polarized in chemistry? Meaning to say, we have a negative, positive charge. Their opinions may not be the same with your opinions, things like that. That's why we have polarized minds. And then we can never be in agreement in one point because we are having so much opinions. And the best thing to do is to respect and be polite in our comments in the social media. And if you cannot understand what's going on there, then scroll, ignore, and leave. Come on! To avoid verbal war and argumentation, shallow argumentation or superficial argumentation. Superficial meaning no, that's not deep, that's not profound. Things like that. That's silly, I think so, silly. Silly. Witty is intelligent, right? But I think the opposite of intelligent is silly or shallow. The point, or shall we say, mediocre minds. Those people are not talking with ideas. Those people are keep on talking with the lives of others. Are those people that are having a low ideas and silly minds. Not all, but that's what I interpreted well. Shut up! Okay, disclaimer. Kasi kawaii na po ko ninyo. Okay, get the point. Things like that. So I have here forms and checklists to those who are loving occupational safety and health. Okay, those OSH enthusiasts. Oh my gosh, enthusiasts. Okay, and those who are HSE people who loves really to do inspections, reporting, investigations, writing document, procedures, programs in the chosen, industries that you can go with OSH like that, okay? Because OSH is very demanded nowadays all over the world. Okay, it's a mandatory requirement of the global Occupational Safety and Health Administration governed by the American, here the United States of America. And then if it is governed by the United States of America, Asia will follow, things like that. And then also Gulf and Middle East will follow, except for the Europe, they have their own standards in safety legislations and requirements as well. But we have also to try to look at the OSHA of the OSHA in US to align, okay, in the generic procedures, programs, rules, legislations, statutory requirements. What statutory requirements? Spell statutory. Okay, that's the point. So it's gonna be like that. So I have so many checklists and forms promulgated in our company. So because when I'm in the company, it's just like a scratch. There's no program, there's no system to follow it. It looks like not uniform and it looks like chaos. There's no such, good order that people can do anything what they want. And there's a lot of accidents and incidents. So that's why, before, since there's no an SHE official, there was, but I can say it's not really that effective because it's not really that a kind of HSC professional that have an experience. It's just like falsifying the documents and fabricating the documents just to be acting just like a safety officer or safety engineer like that, but in fact they are not really working in safety. So there's a lot of Filipino people like that also. They try to fabricate things so that they can be easily acquiring that job, and that is not true honesty, so it's not good. You will never prosper in anything if you try to falsify documents. Get the point? Just stay who you are. Things like that, and let your brain cells work for everybody to really, if you are witty, intelligent, brilliant or not. Anyway, they can hear it, right? They can see you itself. When you do the communication, when you do the report, when you coordinate to other people, the way you behave in a certain culture or the particular industries and factories, they will really notice it without showing. Okay, in normal situations, it's gonna be brilliant, intelligent thing. But again, you don't have to be brilliant and intelligent. Okay, as long as you have a good discarding in life with good command in English communication. Because if you try to work in Europe, other Asian countries, and in the Gulf, they will be usually impressed if you can talk very well in English. That's their first impression. If you can really talk effectively, and if you can communicate spontaneously in English, then you can say, oh, this is gonna be like that. Even though you are not intelligent, they will just judge you quickly by that. They have an initial hypothesis that you are really, a good examinee or a good student or a good employee or whatever. Okay, things like that. And that will be happening in the employer interview. Because it's your mouth first who will do. Mouth and then brain cells. Okay, because they will try to ask you questions like this, and after that, go to the written examination, like that. And after that, panel interview, so it's gonna be the mouth first. But be sure also to talk with a point, okay? Because there are also people who cannot talk with points or very, not really that main point, it's in there, it's very shallow. So it's be like that. So there's a lot of talkative that is not also pointless. You get the point? So be sure you need to expose or express first main points rather than anything else. Okay, go back to this safety documentation. I have here, okay, the first thing to do is I conceptualize this form. Okay, this one, the material safety data sheets. Okay, this form. Okay, for example, guys, if you're working in a company that produces a lot of products, could it be solid, liquid, and gas? And most of the times, guys, chemicals. As I told you, we are bounded and we are surrounded with chemicals around us. Okay, for example, by the time we wake up in the morning, then we need to inhale oxygen. Okay, by the time we go to the toilet, and then we move our waste, our human waste, or our stool or fecal. Fecal is also another term for human waste, for the stool. Okay? So during your defecation process, well, defecation, removal of fecal, right? English again. Okay? Like that. So during your removal of waste, again, it's already chemistry. Okay? Removal of urine is already chemistry. How many percentage of salts remove in your urine? Then the color is very yellow. Oh my gosh! Could I have a disease? I have a higher uric acid possibly because I have a rheuma, arthritis, or whatever due to the high presence of uric acid due to the raw materials purine that we get meat every day, or shall we say excessively. Okay, as I told you over and over again, our world is composed of processed foods. And if you love meat, you cannot take out amino group in that meat. There's always nitrogen and hydrogen, NH2, and there's also purine in that. Even though you will burn that meat, you cannot remove the purine and amino. You can take that in your system, then plus, and then that is really preserved. There's a preservative, then they will put nitrites. The nitrites plus amino, nitrites plus amino plus purine, then it will produce a lot of uric acid, creatinine, protein. You get the point? Things like that. Okay? And then after that, it can also create another diseases, the myocardial infarction, like that, the stroke, the cardiovascular diseases, of oily substances, things like that. Oh my God. Okay, going back. Nilayo dyan guys. So, tabihan kayo quiz. Okay. Oh, we have here MSDS, list of hazardous materials. Wow. Hazardous. Meaning adjective, right? Describing the type of materials, meaning it's hazardous. Hazardous is a general term referring to poisonous, toxic, flammable, reactive, okay, biological, toxic, like that, and then also cancerous or carcinogenic, mutagenic, and then also pathogenic, pathogens, okay, substances that can cause diseases are pathogens, right? And mainly the causes of cancer are pathogens, right? Okay, it's gonna be like that. So that's gonna be hazardous. So most of the times you are dealing with chemicals, then without any knowledge of that. Okay, for example, water. Water is composed of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. That is already chemical by default. You get the point? So anything around us, we are loaded with chemicals. So we live by chemicals and also we die with chemicals. You got the point? So this is gonna be the process because, as I told you, in a computer technology, we are surrounded with processed foods and processed materials to create a product that will try to boost our economy so that our country will become industrialized. And all it to do that is to produce a lot of pollution in the air, water, land. There will be a land degradation, a land contamination, and then also the animals also will die, and then also a contamination in the sea, in the body water surfaces, and our fishes also will die. Okay, since we cannot control that already, we should be responsible by ourselves. Gonna be like that, so that's part of MSDS. Guys, if I will try to discuss everything, the 16 sections of MSDS, we will reach midnight. Okay, so I will just discuss directly. Okay, you get the point. So we have here a Word format. No, it's not Excel format. Okay, you don't have to be good also in computer a lot, as long as you know how to operate an Excel format, Word format, PowerPoint format. Then that will be fine also in reporting and procedure, as long as you can create a graphical representation of your parameters, things like this, even key performance indicators, graphical representation, tables, pie charts, things like that. If you know how to do that, then bingo, you can do your report very, very well, especially the safety performance report monthly, things like that. If you want to become a safety engineer in the future also. Okay, because by the time you are a safety officer, you will become a safety engineer, you will become also safety manager, things like this. Okay, all will start with safety officer. Okay, things like that. So you should familiarize the contents of MSDS, material safety data sheets, or the safety data sheets are just the same in meaning. Okay, you get the point. I have here the first column will be the name of hazardous chemicals. Second column will be the personnel in charge that try to control and handle and use the chemicals in their department. Things like that. In the third column, we have the, oh my gosh, the purpose. What is your purpose of that stocking, handling, using the chemicals there? Because it's impossible that you don't have purpose at all, right? It's gonna be like that. And the fourth column will be the location of your usage, where that you will be able to use. For example, in the yard, in the kitchen, like that, or whatever. Okay? And then we have the quantity in terms of kilograms, if it is solid, like that, the unit of measure in kilograms or grams, and if it is in volume, it's gonna be liters, cubic feet, liters, or whatever. Okay, then the MSDS is available. So MSDS is very, it's very, very available from the manufacturer or the supplier. Then you have to ask that. Normally, the one who will ask this is the procurement department and the, procurement department and the logistics department, or shall we say, the warehouse personnel. Okay, that taking care of the control of the releasing and controlling of materials. Okay, in the warehouse and a storehouse, things like that, right? It's gonna be, or the purchasing department, because purchasing and department and procuring or procurement department are working together. Okay, it's gonna be like that, and that's why they will ask specifications from us. Specifications, what are really the capacity, then we will be introducing specification, if it's okay, blah blah blah, so and so it meets the standards, the worldwide standards promulgated by the America. That's because on the Gulf, following OSHA standards. They're not following the UK because UK is not really the promulgating the code and legislation numbers, but they have the generic safety standards. Only OSHA have the generic safety standards, okay, all over the world. Also have another country like New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, things like, and Canada, but still they need to pattern that to the parent OSHA legislation in general, in generic. They have to scrutinize there that it could be also aligned and linked, or else it will become useless. Meaning, your legislation, laws in AWS, rules and regulations and policies are always intact with the OSHA rules and regulations and legislations. Di ta magpataka. You get the point. You get the point. Things like that. And our frequency of use, for example, daily basis, regularly, but regularly is just like a general term. It would be safe to say daily, alternate, like that, weekly, monthly, quarterly, bi-monthly, bi-annual, or yearly. Alright, this is the frequency of use. And the remarks, anything that you noted, there's a defect on that particular chemicals, like that, expired chemicals, or anything that you can know, you experience while you handle that, you use that, things like that, okay? So this is about MSDS. Now in my governance job, okay, so before we don't have like that, then when I came to the companies who established this kind of system, because I know, okay, because if you are a safety professionals, you don't wait for somebody to tell you, do this, do that, do this, do that. If there's something saying, then you should do that automatically, okay, without any command from the top management. They are paying money to do your job well. To the point, you do your assignments. So you don't need to wait. You get the point? Use your brain cells. What are missing here? And I need to conceptualize. I need to create. I need to establish. I need to implement this with the cooperation of those departments there. And they will really support if they really understand what you are trying to implement. And then you will establish training. Of course, training will be the first technique to do that because you don't know anything at all. Right? So training and then burden, application, utilization, implementation, whatever, and reflect that in a document. Okay, and then for filing purposes, okay, to arrange your files. Because during audit, the government will be there to check everything. Oh my gosh, this is a very world-class safety department. Things like that. Everything is organized, alphabetical order. Okay, arranged in a numerical order from documents 1 to 1,000. Things like that. And the documentation control also is very good. Then you have to update regularly, arrange regularly, file regularly for audit purpose from the government, because the government will try to close your company if you did not meet the local safety requirements in that particular country. Okay, they will ask a lot of questions to the safety engineer, to the safety officer. Normally, they will ask first the safety manager, but then sometimes also if the safety manager are not really that. I'm not discriminating, not really that also, shall I say, not knowing also others. Though they know also, but not really that comprehensive knowledge, then they will ask also the support of the safety engineer to do that, to answer the government auditors, things like that. Parang kinakarela lang lahat, things like that. Okay, because normally if you're hired in the international market or world-class, OFW as a safety professionals or entry-level safety officer, you need to do a multitasking. Okay, remember this, multitasking. Okay, inspection, reporting, documentation, facing the top management down to the lower management in everything. You need to face the CEO of the company. Then you need to introduce what kind of controls so that our health and safety here will be good and there's no accident that will be happening in our factory. Things like that. You have to be vocal. You get the point? You don't need to hide. Okay, you need to be vocal and you need to talk face to face with this president, vice president, just like the political, just like President BBM in the Malacanang Palace. You also have to talk directly. That's why I told you English communication is very important. You get the point? Okay, that's very very useful. So if the children are very talkative, that's the sign. Oh my gosh, they are very good, really, okay, and command English or English communication and language. Not too much of vocabularies and grammar. It can be learned. Okay? Okay, you got the point? So, it's gonna be like that. Okay, the next will be TUV certificates. It's TUV certificates is gonna be the licensing and the authorization, how competent the equipment drivers, you get the point, or our drivers for the light vehicles and the heavy equipment. So they need to have an updated and very current driver's license, and also the third-party certificates and training of a third-party training center of how good you are in crane operations, backhoe operations, because you need to check that also in the field. You need to watch that out. Sometimes ganimo, attach you ko sa backhoe just to check the computer control panel is operating well. But guys, the safety officer is not really working sometimes. I'm not really also saying discriminating. Sometimes also the work of a safety officer, you will also work. Because as I told you again, have knowledge but not comprehensive. You got the point, so you need to help also. You're only one company, then the success of one will be the success of all. Then you need to help your colleagues if there's a less knowledge. Things like this. You got the point, and you have to teach them. Things like that also. Nakakal na konti yung gusto mawala. Okay, you got the point. Kanta ko ini ka Friday. Because a lot of too much talking in the field, like that. Even though in the office, hindi na ka makapuhay doon. Ano po, tawag, charot. Okay. Too much duration of documents. Nakakandok. Okay, you have to check from your eyes. Especially guys, the crane operations, right? Very crucial. Mobile crane. Then sometimes you have to step and you go outside and communicate to the driver. Things like this. Okay, but and then it's also not lucky sometimes because the drivers cannot talk in English. So you have to use your gestures and actions. It's very difficult really guys to work in another country. You have to, you have to adjust the culture, the tradition, the religion, their nationality, language barrier, whatever. And also the personality and attitude. You get the point. Aside from their competency in their knowledge, most of the times they don't have education. These drivers. heavy equipment. Some have, but not really that, not proficient. Nakakaloka. So I have here the next is the shutdown daily safety checklist. Actually guys, when I work in the construction industry, there's no shutdown. Because shutdown is applicable in an operating plant. I am now in the operating plant or in a manufacturing firm. So in the construction industry, there's no shutdown inspection checklists. This is the special checklist that during shutdown, okay, we have to, for example, we have to change the spare parts inside that equipment because that is deteriorated already, things like that, and any repair, like that. When we do the shutdown daily safety checklist, and we have the area name, inspected by, then I also conceptualize this. Really guys, okay, sa always no, but thanks God that I love English. Okay, 1 to 21, things like that. Okay, so my manager, I'm not the manager. My manager knows me already. Okay? So when he do the report sometime, he will call me to check everything. Oh my gosh, mura ko nag-tutor. Really. I'm sitting beside him, like check everything, Sotero, if this is okay to be sent like this. Nakakaloka para akong nagtuturo. Okay, hindi lang yung safety trabaho, pati English. How to construct the subject and predicate. Uy, nakakaloka. Vocabulary, spelling. Ay, nakakaloka. Gusto ko nang bumitaw. Charot! Charot lang. Okay. So, item number 1, deficiency noted, correct action required, corrective action required, responsibility and target date, and acknowledged by. In the acknowledged by will be the supervisor, the foreman, the engineer, the safety officers are really checking on actual and what's going to be the deficiencies, the findings, the observations, then they have to correct that on the spot so that we can solve that, so that there will be no incidents and accidents that will be happening in their work area. So this is going to be proactive approach in eliminating the hazards and risks in their workplace. You are acting really as an auditor at the same time, not only an inspector. And sometimes also you are acting also as an advisor. You need to advise, you need to talk. It's not enough taking picture, things like that. You have to communicate well in what particular requirements that they failed to do or they failed to meet, and what are the hazards and risks that will be obtained, so that they can really understand, because they are not really the same knowledge to you. No, sometimes they are labor, masonry, carpentry, like that, especially when my safety officers will go with me, like that, blah, 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 so sir, blah, 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 like that again. And then I will brief him what to do, and then again, he cannot also understand sometimes. Okay, then I will be the one to go there, and then, sabi. You get the point? Anak, dito siya guys. Multitasking kaayo. Charot. Okay, now I have here, I created also another checklist and form. We have the warehouse store safety inspection. Okay, like this in the store. So normally the hazards there will be the falling of the materials from the top level to the lower level. From the moment they will try to arrange things in the warehouse, items that are lighter should be in the ground level, and items that are very heavy and fragile or highly subjected to broken or breakable, right? So it should be on the top. Things like this, okay? Or heavy objects at the top, lighter objects at the ground level, and you'll check also the lighting and illumination, because the moment they will touch that, and there's no light, then it could slip somewhere along in the rack, and then it can hit their body parts, and accident again will be happening. So things like that, you need to be observant, just like a scientist. Okay, to be a safety officer, a safety professional, you also carry the quality of being a scientist. Number 1, to be observant. Okay, and you can easily create your own hypothesis, okay, by your brain cells. And after that, you can evaluate and you can conclude. Okay, so yung ana lang yung siya parameters, no? Okay, you get the point. So this is a warehouse store safety inspection, like that. Okay, so too much, right? So that's why I don't like to vlog safety, because a lot will be discussed. Okay, especially science. If I will vlog science, I could say this will not end in 2 years. Okay, if you try to be detailed in everything, okay, because I need to just like a spoon feeding discussion, or detailed explanation, the strategies and techniques that most of the teachers also are not doing, that I will try to teach, because I'm also experiencing that before. You get the point? I need to, I need to cover that emptiness in the part of the students. The examiner is that it should not be in that way. Okay, you got the point? Things like that. Okay, we have another four in checklist. We have wait, confined space. Okay, confined space safety checklist. What is a confined in English? So when you see guys a title and a caption, whether in social media or in the books, journals and magazines, your brain cells will be alert really the the capitalization, the proper noun, the common noun, because it's in there. You will understand really based upon your scrutiny. You get the point? It's not enough you will just read. You need to evaluate really. Oh, really? Like that. But you will not never say that in your mouth, in your brain only. Like that. And then, as much as possible, you need to correct minor items. Why? It's our rule to correct minor items. Why? Because if you never correct minor items, it will become big in the future. You get the point? It will be a great help. For example, if you're working in a government like that, or you're a political leader and you always put posts in a wrong grammar, then you need to tell. That's gonna be like that because we have the role ROLE to correct if the things are not going well. You get the point? So this is constructive criticism. Okay, for example, if you start with do you have the quality it takes to be a quick? So you are starting with a questioning. So you put mark in the end. Okay. But if your caption don't have question mark, so you fail to meet the basic English. Because punctuation marks are always part of English, especially in putting titles and captions in your articles or whatever, in social media, in books, newspapers, in journalism. So that's why I encourage to those young minds to join journalism because it's in there. You practice a lot of vocabularies, terminologies, how to write an essay, how to write an editorial, feature, short story, poem or poem, things like that. Okay, so we should not forget. Okay, do you meaning question? Okay, so meaning to say there's a question mark after. You get the point? Uh, shall I? So question mark because you start with the acting verb in your sentence. You get the point? So it's not enough to caption that directly on the Facebook without checking the framework of the grammar. Oh my gosh. We are not perfect, but it's also nice to hear somebody corrected that, right? Me, I also corrected a million times. Did I follow? There's no issue. Right? Ganon. Okay. So, we have here confined space safety checklist. We have the area name, inspection by, actually this is not inspection by, I failed to correct my manager. Okay, this is inspected by. This is not inspection by. Okay? But it's okay, that's minor only. Consideration na lang niya siya. So, in charge. Okay, date and time. Okay? Like that. So, we have the general and we have the specifics or the specificity. Okay? Or the generalities or the commonalities. Okay, ganon. So, we have here the first, guys, as you can see here, this is elaborative checklist, meaning enumeration, right? 1 to 13 talks about the general safety aspects. Okay. From 14 to, wait mga palangga ko, nakataon na ba ang tanong ng biniglit na bugnaw? Wala pa. Okay, training 21 to 22, lighting and ventilation 23 to 25, housekeeping 26 to 29, limpyo duta. Okay, sama sa atong balay, atong limpyo para walay mga microbial actions, germicidal actions like okay, that can cause diseases. Okay, isolation, it talks about the electricity safety requirements. Material tools and equipment handling. Yes, it causes a lot of physical injuries when you handle the items too heavy and you cannot make it already. Then you need an assistance or a mechanical device to do that, like let's say a trolley or anything. Okay, if you cannot make it already, it's common sense. You need the assistance of others, right? Okay. Sometimes there are things in life that we don't need to. Somebody will teach us to do. Okay, it's our brain cells that will work it immediately. You get the point? Okay. Things like that. Muna siya ang sentido común. You get the point? Okay. Now I have here the confined space gases atmospheric gases checking. Okay, guys, so you need to analyze the atmospheric gases. For example, the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxygen, hydrogen sulfide, because these gases are killer to the workers when they go inside the vessel. They will be trapped by the highly contaminated gases. Okay guys, guys, all vessels have oxygen. But the problem is due to the very restricted and configured opening, that's what we call confined in English, right? Confined means configured and limited entry. Okay, very small entry, things like that. So the oxygen will be limited also because the atmospheric air cannot go there directly. Because most of the times it has a cover. They will open that only due to the activities that they try to do during maintenance and shutdown. Okay, there's a lot of requirements there, right? Lighting, like that. You get the point. And then the access, going out, going in. So in the manner, guys, since oxygen is very reactive. So if you remember our chemistry, if you review our chemistry, if you're just attentive in your high school chemistry, we know that oxygen is the most reactive element in the planet Earth. Okay, that is very, very reactive. That's why even though that is a non-metal or a gas, it will react to magnesium, calcium, potassium in the group 1A and group 2B in the element periodic table. But this nitrogen, there's a restriction because nitrogen is inert, non-reactive. They will never react to metals. Okay, they will only react to kapwa non-metal. That's why you have nitrous oxides. Ammonia, nitrogen plus hydrogen gas is equals to ammonia. They are both non-metals and gases. But oxygen gas are very reactive, so you could expect less oxygen inside a confined space. Then you need to test the oxygen so that they can breathe properly when they work inside the tank, in the vessel, so that you can supply oxygen, or else they will be suffering from aphoxia or asphyxia. You get the point? Asphyxia, the suffocation of the oxygen, the consumption of oxygen that runs through your respiratory system. Okay, asphyxia. And aphoxia will be the loss of oxygen running through your bloodstream. Okay, your oxygen will be lost and you will die because we need oxygen every day. So that's why the safety engineer or safety officer will test that. If it is passing to the standard, then okay, sir, you need to add ventilation, a fan, or whatever, a fume to release the contaminant gases inside. Then you have to be strong. Okay, you have to be strong in discussion. Then you need to discuss it properly so that way away nga may tabo. You get the point? Because they are always in hurry in their job to finish their progress or their output in a daily basis. So you have the right to delay for a moment because the atmospheric gas is not passing to the standard. Okay, like for example 20.9, 20.8, 20.7 at least, because God gave us 21% by volume of oxygen in our atmosphere now. But it's not totally perfect. Okay, if you can remember from the study of chemistry, okay, if you can remember 79% by volume of nitrogen and 21% by volume of oxygen, that is ideality behavior of a gas. Now, we cannot accept that nowadays in our computer age because there's a lot of industrial factories that will release gas in the atmosphere. As I told you, oxygen will react with the other gases. Okay, so that's why it will become 20.8, 20.7, 20.6, 20.5, plus some other gases that involve oxygen in there. Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, basta masakyanan, o tambotso. Carbon monoxide because the oxygen will react to carbon. Point. Okay, and carbon dioxide also greenhouse gases in the ozone layer of the sun. Climate change. That's why we have climate change because of the excessive amount of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases. So that's why we need to check the atmospheric gases, and that's the job of safety officer and safety engineer to check the atmospheric gases so that there will be no airborne contaminants or air pollution, things like that. Okay, we cannot control that, at least we can minimize. Like that. So, like that, no? Mapalangga ko, no? Okay, and the lower explosive limits also will be tried to measure by a safety officer. Lower explosive limits, meaning to say, this is the ability of the chemicals to explode. Okay, meaning to say if the lower explosive limit is very, very high, then it will explode easily, and then your tank will be exploding. You want that? Okay, that's why the safety officer will also check and measure the value of LEL, lower explosive limit. Why lower? Because it needs to be lowered out to make it safe. Okay, adjective, lower, higher, like that. Lower, it should not be higher explosive, no, lower, because the more it is lower, the more it is safe. Right? Common sense. Okay, like that. So we have, sa pa man guys, no? Oh, H2S is a silent killer. So it has no smell, ha? At a higher concentration. Okay, it smells like a rotten egg. At a smaller concentration, at higher concentration, there will be no smell, and then suddenly it will kill us. Okay, above 10 parts per million. And now we have the vehicle equipment inspection checklist. So long as I told you, there's a lot of checklists. Okay, so the SOPs or the rule of thumb or the procedure of vehicle equipment inspection sheet is that we have to check prior to operate the heavy equipment, the parts by parts, the accessories, just like driving in a car. Okay, the fuel gauge, the radiator, the internal combustion engine, the tire, the steering wheel, the mirror, the seat, okay, the manual controls of the computer, especially if it is a mobile crane, like that. Check everything, and it's here reflected also from 1 to 18. If you have comments, put your comments here. Okay, and then inspector, your name and signature. Okay. Now, too much guys, oy. Kapoy na kung discuss guys, in fairness. But I have here also the 5S checklist. Okay, 5S, we have the sort, standardize, systematize, shine, sweeping, and systematize, right? That is 5S. So you have to arrange your materials very well, okay, in the warehouse or whatever. Then if you don't need it anymore, dispose it. If you try to use it again, then separate that and label it that is still usable for the next week, next month, like that. And you label that and segregate and arrange properly through proper identification and labeling. You have to label for easy identification, that if you did that, you can easily save your time also rather than finding that anywhere else. Right? So properly identified, so the best thing is to label. Okay guys, now if you have chemicals guys, that's only materials, the solid materials, especially for the mechanical people, astronaut people, things like it, or electrical people, or what about for the QC people, the quality assurance or the chemical laboratory. So we need to have the labeling of the chemicals also, the proper segregation of hazardous chemicals. You have to separate poisonous chemicals, toxic chemicals, irritant chemicals, corrosive chemicals, biohazardous chemicals, radioactive chemicals, things like that. You have to separate that. Okay, because you need also to identify that it follows the requirements of National Fire Protection Association 704, because there are also chemicals that will explode if you try to react that with water. Okay, that's why there's a symbol or W and there's a strike through in the center, meaning you don't put water on those chemicals, because if you put water on those chemicals, it will explode. Okay, that's why you need to read the instruction of the chemicals by having the safety data sheets or the material safety data sheets. You got the point? Things like that. And for example, guys, if there is a container, normally a drum, okay, like that, and then that's big, and if you transfer only a small drum, so you need to remember the hazardous communication standard of OSHA. Okay, has gone program 1200, 29 Code of Federal Regulation, okay, 1910.1200. This is hazardous communication program. So the first thing to do, okay, is to have a separate housing or area for the designated chemical storage area. Okay, once you have it already, you have to put fire extinguishers in that to stop the fire in case there will be a fire and explosion. And then you put safety data sheets in there are the minimum requirement. Okay, things like that. Then, number 4, the people that will use that handle, carry, transport must have training on that program of the hazardous communications standard of OSHA, USA. Okay, things like that. You get the point, training. So what we are trying to convey, we need to convey the hazards of that chemical so that they will not be affected. Especially the different roads, respiratory, heart, digestive, things like that. Digestive, normally guys, if you try to work with chemicals without the gloves, and then the impurities will be absorbed to your palm, and you need to wash your hands after that, then you will ingest that into your mouth. It will go to your esophagus, and it will go to your digestive system. That's why you will feel abdominal pain or abdominal irritation. Okay. Now for liquids, it will go to your skin pores in the epidermis, the outer layer of your skin. Then problem, it will go there and it will react to your bloodstream. Okay? Problem. Our blood is highly alkaline. Okay? So alkalinity, meaning it will react to acids. Okay? It will react to bases. So what will happen? Again, disease comes out. You get the point. And then also the gases in the respiratory system. Normally, bronchitis, anemia, silicosis, like that. Okay, or any disease pertaining to the lungs. Okay, in the respiratory alveoli. Alveoli or alveoli? Things like that will be affected if you smell an fume, a gas that is have an obnoxious odor, meaning a very harmful odor that you cannot explain. That is obnoxious or harmful odor. So the best thing to do is to wear the PPE, correct PPE, and then you have the proper ventilation to remove the fumes in that particular storage area. Proper PPE, okay, hand gloves, respiratory gas mask, the apron, the safety shoes, like that. And the second will be the personal hygiene. You have to wash your hands after dealing or handling with the chemicals, and then take a shower as much as you could, because there are chemicals that cannot be removed automatically by the water. Even though you flush that with water, our chemicals will really absorb into the pores of your skin. So the disease will be highly mutagenic. Mutagens. It will cause the mismatch of your DNA. You got them in your system. Okay? So mga mutagenic, carcinogenic, and ganon, pathogenic, whatever. Okay? So be careful with handling with chemicals. And then your secondary container. So secondary container meaning that is the container that you'll be able to prepare so that the original container or the primary container you will transfer. So meaning to say, if you transfer the chemicals, the container you will be able to transfer is the secondary container. And the original container coming from the supplier is what we call primary container or original container. Okay. The primary container are obviously labeled by the manufacturers and the suppliers, the kind of chemicals, the hazards rating, if it is flammable or not, explosive or not, radioactive or not, poisonous or not. But when you transfer that to the secondary container, you don't have labeling in your secondary container because you will use anything, a galon, like that, a planggana or whatever. So if there are other people that will try to use that, it will explode also, whatever, right? So you need to label that so that they will understand that that is really ammonia, hydrochloric acid, like that, hydrogen peroxide, avoxinada, or H2O2, chemicals, things like that. Okay, properly labeled, identified in your secondary containers as well. Okay, labeling. Okay, kaya maglagot siya kung sige mag-label guys. Mo siya akong chemical kaya ako siya ng badlungon. Charat! Yes, okay. And you'll follow also, of course, nakaloka, because if you try to explain it well, okay, comprehensively. Okay. When you become a safety professional, don't act as a police. Okay, you will act as an advisor. Okay, an advisor with effective communication and reporting skills, leadership skills. Okay, things like that. You don't have to be, I am the safety, you should follow me, everything. It's not like that, right? Okay, you get the point. You don't need to be superior. But you need to be strong. There's a difference between to be a superior and to be strong. Because if you have the quality to be a superior, you always let the people know that you are the boss. Okay, but if you are brave, that is a quality of a leader. Okay, meaning to say you are really the leader. You also a good follower. Meaning everything that you are trying to be implemented, you also do that by your own self, even though there are no people watching at you. So that is the true leader. So in short, the leader can experience what the leader do. Okay, before they are becoming the managers, the supervisors. But this boss mainly hired immediately through backups, connections, bakir-bakir, whatever. Di pasok pa siya dito, bisag di pasok sa banga. Okay, because they don't have experience. So that's why they feel like a boss always do this, do that, do this, do that. That in fact, they don't know how to do it. Okay, hypocrisy, right? Not the superiority or acting like a boss. A good leader is very good. And to be a leader, you should be brave, okay, and consistent and strong in your decision making. Or always have certainty. O, di ba? Ganon. Sumuhuman ng tani guys. Kapil, kilis ka sa uban guys, do. Maagtan kag buntag. Okay, napidagan kay na. Muni siya guys. Okay, so pag namandan jud mo, if you want to become a safety professional, then you should also learn English. Okay, you get the point? English kay reporting you guys no? Okay, and documentation and then command of English. Okay, you don't need to be kept quiet. You need to raise your voice in the benefit and the welfare of patient success, the sustainability of the business. Okay, because you are part of the success of the business. Things like that. Thank you so much for listening for this vlog all about safety checklist and forms. I did not discuss everything because you know guys, it is very lengthy. Okay, thank you so much. If you want to comment down below in the comment section, you can. And if you are not subscribing yet my YT channel, then you can subscribe. I will be very grateful if you can do that for me, of course. Okay? And then you can click the notification bell for some newest updates of sa yung mga ganapan ni Lulu Junjun ninyo. So, thank you so much. God bless everybody. See you later. Babush. Hirap ko bitan ang pera. Nakakaloka. Sakit ba ang?
Ano na?